EG currently have suffered their first overall game loss here in the group stages of TI11. Let's find out if they'll be suffering their first series loss as well. As Team Liquid has tons of comfort picks. I can't look past Zai, Enigma, and Matu Lone Druid in the same game. Yeah. I like EG. I think they've been performing really well at this tournament, but this is certainly going to be a big test for them. Game 1 was not a test they were successful at, but here in Game 2, they're trying to make it much more so. This Lycan Wolves did get some vision here of Insania, which allows EG to come up the hill, find out this Crystal Maiden, and bring him down quickly. First blood drawn by Crit. And Crit Marana is no joke. Him being able to get off to a good start has been able to lead to EG victories many, many times in the past. So they also have some great comfort here. This is going to be very close, no matter what. I just want another 70-minute game, then I'm happy, and it's okay.
I definitely feel like the same as well. You know, obviously, there's going to be a lot of team fights. There's going to be a lot of kind of the bubbles against each other, right? We've got the black hole going in towards the chronosphere, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top of these team fights, because we've seen what these Enigmas have been able to do. They don't really have a good way of stopping the black hole. They can kind of just bash him or bubble him up, but on the other side of things, the chronosphere, they've got a decent amount of damage inside of it. They don't really have a good way of saving anybody who gets stuck inside of the chrono. So that's going to be the tale for me, is about like how these team fights pan out between EG and Liquid, about who gets off to an early start with these laning phases. Is Arteezy going to have a relatively easy time on this Faceless Void and become a monster? Or is Team Liquid just going to have that, you know, first kind of 20 minutes where they've had free farm on their Lone Druid, they've had free farm on everybody else, and they're feeling pretty good with how this is. They made the lane switch with Matoma Man going mid here on the Lone Druid. One of the heroes that can actually do really well against Alina, just because you have that, you have the bear that's able to tank a lot of damage for you, where Alina tries to abuse the Dragon Slayer with the right clicks.
They do not want to be lane dominated, so they're like, well, Lesh, you go elsewhere on the map, my friend. You can just farm from the top lane. Bottom though, Boxy's in danger. Might have a first blood happening as we see Arteezy's beating down onto him. Doesn't have the time work anymore, but doesn't need it as Fly able to get a kill on this side of the map. So good start for EG. They get a kill down bottom, mid lane. Although they have put this Lone Druid into the lane with Abed, and yes, Abed will experience some pressure from this, ultimately we still expect Lina to be perfectly fine. So Matu, very unlikely to be able to heads up kill Abed. So things should be fine for the most part here for EG.
Yeah, if Matu gets some high rolls on the old entangles, that's when he can start to feel really well. But I think EG starting out to a little bit better here in the laning phase than what they did in game number 1. They're definitely feeling that they've got some stronger lanes. This Mirana and Lycan lane is a little bit of an interesting one, right? Because the Leshrac can do a lot of work about being able to deal with the little wolf babies, but outside of that, if you ever get caught by an arrow, if they ever get caught with them just getting run at, it's going to be oh so hard for them to try and peel for the Leshrac, who is one of those heroes that is relatively notorious about just kind of people just running at it and blowing it to pieces. So Mike's able to have a half decent time in this top lane, we should be okay. But there's just a lot of aggression coming in from EG, and I like the way that they're playing their lanes this time around.
Crit's just hitting Insania for all he's worth. Gonna try to put as much pressure on the top side of the map as humanly possible. One thing that's also interesting about this top lane is because they have the leap on the Mirana, the Frostbite into Split Earth combo doesn't work nearly as well. It's about a Fly gonna take some harassment damage from Boxy and Zai, but not enough to truly threaten the Enchantress. Will be able to back himself away. They haven't blocked any of these camps down bottom, so Zai and the boys will have to deal with Enchantress at her full strength. She can dip in to find any of these creeps. Nice tangle, or cancel on the self. As we look towards top lane, let's talk about some of these heroes where we're going to be expecting pearls to be going. Let's connect onto Lesh, onto the Lycan rather, from the Leshrac. Do they have the damage to kill Nightfall? They might actually with the Lightning Storm, and indeed they do. Mike ends up just being able to chomp him down. Alright. I was literally about to ask how quickly should the Lycan buy BKB? I think that answer is yes.
Yeah. It definitely feels like he needs something in this game, but just over-aggressing a little bit. You know, obviously Team Liquid have understood that they can't really make the go onto crit, because usually they have the Frostbite in towards the Split Earth, so they've got a really good kill lane that's coming out here. So if Nightfall ever over-aggresses, much like he did just then, he can get kind of caught in an awkward spot. So EG just limit testing a little bit here in the top lane, and they have tested limits and found them a little bit too close for their own liking. So There's going to be a bit of back and forth, and if Mickey is able to at least come out on top in this lane, he's going to be the one hero that's going to be able to deal with this kind of Lycan ball, right? They've got Fly, who's going to be able to have these Enchantress creeps that float around. They're going to have Nightfall, who's probably going to go Helm of the Overlord, and a whole lot of these extra little summons. And if Mickey is able to just kind of get that little bit of extra armor, maybe a Shiva's Guard early on, he can kind of run around and just deal with these wolves and deal with these extra summons coming in from the Lycan.
So much stuff that can come in this game. Inside the team Liquid, they have stuff from the Enigma, stuff from the Lone Druid. Speaking of Enigma, down bottom might take a bit of damage here as they throw in the time dilation. RTZ just trying to harass them back. Looks like we're going to have a much less bombastic early game for game number 2 here. Both squads recognizing the stakes and the difference a solitary game can make here in the TI11 group stages. For RTZ, I'm not sure if he's going to go the hyper greed route. Yesterday he built Midas on this Faceless Void. Does he go for the Midas again in the game like this? I mean, there are some summons you can deal with, as we see Fly about to get taken down, losing his life with one more right click from the Eidolons of Zai, but at the same time RTZ looking for the immediate revenge, just needs 2 bashes. 1 bash!
Oh, no way.
Maybe? No way. Zai getting kept in the trees, but RTZ does have access to the hatchet. He still doesn't get the bashes, but he's eventually able to get the kill regardless. A much bigger bounty than losing out on the life of the Enchantress.
Yeah, to be fair, 12%. He didn't get any of those percents there, but circling back to your question about the hit and Midas, I do like it going up against these heroes that like to build, you know, kind of like HOD and all that kind of stuff. Like the Mask of Madness this game around, like you're playing in towards a Lone Druid, so if you ever get caught out with that Mask of Madness, it's going to be very, very hard for you to play the fights around. I've just been liking Hand of Midas just a little bit more on Faceless Voids, so I feel like RTZ probably will be going back towards that Hand of Midas this time around, unless he wants to try and play a little bit faster and skip out on the Mask of Madness as well as the Hand of Midas himself and just go directly in towards the Maelstrom. Wouldn't hate that either. They've got a lot of damage inside of their own Chronosphere. They've got a good ball that they can kind of get going with that Helm of the Overlord. They can play behind Fly, who's going to be on this Enchantress, so they definitely got ideas to be able to play something a little bit different. Oh, Arrow of the Gods.
Crit, man. Crit.
Alright. Well.
What's up? That was a long-range arrow with no setup. All he had was the in-charge slow from Fly, but nonetheless he's able to get that kill.
This'll come in handy.
And like you mentioned, we know that there are going to be some of these big items coming in from Team Liquid, so having a Hand Midas would help a lot. Scaling potential is always quite nice. Now that they have started to roam a little bit with Crit, they might actually just choose to stick him around in this bottom lane, but at the same time we have a smoke from Boxy and Insania. They're like, well, supports are moving, we want to be able to do the same, but unfortunately Abed has already dipped back into the jungle. One thing that is interesting about this game for me is that I look at all of these cores. All the core heroes in this game are not mobile. They're like, sit in my lane, farm forever, for as long as humanly possible. It takes me quite a while before I feel comfortable moving off this. So it is going to be the supports all the time that are forced to make these movements on their behalf. Otherwise, the map is just not really going to change. They're still sticking around.
Abed.
Boxy comes back in, had the patience to wait for Abed. There will be a LSA with an arrow that connected onto Matu. Matu dies first. They do eventually get the kill onto Abed, but hashtag worth for the side of EG because they might be able to pick up more off the back of this. Crit will have arrow again in 2 seconds. Insania, you are dead to rights, my friend. Boxy is doing his best to try and block the angle of the arrow, but not going to be allowed to do so. And now because of this, he might be the one that gets arrowed himself. Crit leaps away. Boxy misses the tree throw. Now he's in danger. Do you have your boxing shoes on, your dancing shoes on? He had them yesterday, or earlier on today rather, in game number 1, and yesterday as well, frankly. He was juking everything. Looks like Crit is aware of how good his shoes are. Won't even choose to try and throw out the arrow. Great play middle though, coming in. Because EG, though they lose Abed, they intercept the gank and get a massive kill of their own.
Yeah, that's big for them. Yes, they do lose Abed, but they get the transition there onto Matumba Man. They get the transition back on towards Insania as well. So Liquid are doing a good job at reading the movements around the map. Crypt just being in the right place at the right time. They understand they can kind of just leave Nightfall to his own devices up in this top lane. He's going to be okay. Yeah, he's going to lose some of his wolves, and it's going to be hard for him to out-push a Leshrac, but at that point, you're more than happy with how this is going. You know, Arteezy is having a good time towards the bottom lane. Arbed's feeling pretty good about how his game's going. And once they start getting towards these first couple of items, these first couple of level 6s, it's really going to be on, as you said, the supports to make these rotations. You know, Matama Man, he's on a lone druid. He wants to start getting a lot of these items up. Zai wants to get his first, you know, his Wraith Pact, his Blink Dagger, his BKB, all that kind of jazz. And it's going to be a little bit of a while before Team Liquid are actually able to get their ball up going towards these towers. But we're in a good spot right now to be able to do it because, as you said, EG also another one of these teams that kind of wants to sit back and farm for a little bit. So maybe we're in for a little bit of a slow one here, Snap.
Oh, a slow one with me and you? A long game? Say it ain't so. Never seen that one.
No.
This one being a lot more considerate affair. The scary thing though is that once Team Liquid do get online and do feel comfortable balling up, my goodness, they can knock over buildings in a hurry. Between the Leshrac, Lone Druid, as well as this Enigma. Control sides of the map quite quickly. First chrono of the game though, Arteezy connecting onto 2 as Arbed also showing up for this one. The Laguna Blade will kill off the Enigma, but the avalanche from Boxy onto 3 sets up for the kills onto Arbed and Fly. The lone survivor being Arteezy. But a great rotation coming in from Team Liquid. There were 4 heroes they committed to this bottom side of the map, but if it grants them a kill onto a hero like Arbed, certainly well worth it. And they didn't have to commit the black hole for that one, so the big bubble comes in from EG, but they don't have to commit their bubble on the side of Liquid.
Yeah, EG did a good job at trying to utilize their first Chronosphere. But you can just see the instant rotation that comes out from Liquid. Insania was already here, so it was a big old Chronosphere that hit onto multiple members. But as soon as they saw that Zai was getting gone on, they TP'd in Boxy, they TP'd in Matama Man, massive avalanche, toss combo, was able to catch out Arbed, and losing your Lina there doesn't feel all too good if you're EG, right? Like, obviously, you're sitting at the third of the net worth right now, but you can just see what happens when Liquid get some free time towards these towers. Matu makes that rotation, gets himself a double kill. Now he walks towards the tier 1 tower and takes that down, while as EG, they have to try and make their own transition on the other side of the map with Nightfall. They want to try and get this tier 1 tower of their own and try and alleviate a bit of their own pressure, but it's just going to get into this scenario where what do they get done with the Chronosphere? What do they get done with the Black Hole? And who is able to have this time with these towers is going to be the real question for me as we move forward in this game.
You see inside the Radiant jungle, piece of field. Casted by Insania, first one of the game onto Fly. I mean, it's really satisfying when you see an Enchantress die and she's just getting hit very quickly with magic damage and physical damage. Quite nice. So they just wanted to make sure that she's not really playing inside their jungle, stall out EG there for a little bit. Down bottom, Zai wants to commit the black hole. Look at this. He wants to set up onto Arteezy. He's calling over Matumba Man. Arteezy gets himself in the trees. Midnight Pulse will break the trees. They know where he's at. They found him. Black hole gets committed. Zai still has Maleficent. Will he need it? He absolutely will. And the roots will come out from Matu, preventing him from being able to jump away with the Q. That's the first big kill onto Arteezy. Top lane as well. Mickey in danger here. He's being surrounded by these EG heroes. So they strike back quite quickly all across the map. As soon as they lose Arteezy down bottom, they go and kill Mickey at top. Mickey is their safe laner for the side of Team Liquid. So EG making sure that nothing comes free in game number 2 here for the Dark Horses of Liquid.
Yeah, and Liquid having to commit the black hole here, so there's at least 170 seconds without them having to worry about that. Unfortunate thing there for Arteezy as well. The fact that he time walked in towards the trees meant that it didn't have time walk, even if he got outside of the entangle. So now Matu, he has this DD rune. He's getting closer towards his Desolator. I really like when I see these low druid builds. You just see Master Madness in the Desolator. You can go into something like a BKB or even like an AC, Basher. All those kind of items that just allow this bear to be very, very strong. And so what the bear can do yesterday, Ghost was able to win a 70-minute barn burner. Him just ratting out the entirety of Boom Esports. And this time around, I think Team Liquid are a little bit more straight up dudes. They're more than happy to fight this one, mano a mano. And we can see that this game is just starting to slow down a little bit. They're going to see if they can try and get a kill here on his eye.
Should be a pretty easy one with the bubble. Crit has access to this arrow to follow up with the stun. Quick kill. Also an Urn charge, or a Spirit Vessel charge. Fully completed for Crit on his Marana. To be able to pick that one up now as well. I mean, this Spirit Vessel is also, this might be one of the reasons why it's also quite nice to have Marana in this game. You have Spirit Vessel for when the Bloodstone does come out for Mickey. So that certainly will help to kill the Leshrac at some point pre-BKB for hit.
And I think we also just saw the kind of combination with the Faceless Void as well, right? You can kind of just like walk yourself back, throw out a nice little arrow, and you're able to get that follow-up outside of the Chronosphere. So not only is the Chronosphere going to be 5 seconds at max level, but then you also could potentially be coughing a 5-second arrow. We see the arrow that comes in, awkward angle there from Crit. They're able to catch out Matumba Man here. This could be massive. They just picked up the hand of minus about 30 seconds ago on TZ. So if they're able to get the kill here onto Matumba Man, maybe even just get rid of one of his bears, then feeling in good spot. But Team Liquid, they're very, very happy with how this is going. Now they're going to be able to put the pressure on the Tier 1 tower and the Bloodstone up on Mickey. He's going to be a hard hero to deal with. This Disco Pony is very, very strong right now with the Bloodstone, and Team Liquid, they're happy to wrap behind.
They get the toss back into said Rainbow Pony. Saying, well, Crit, you really want to see us? Okay, fine. Come through, fam. Get the quick kill, get the tower out of this as well. Team Liquid. This is the beginnings of what they can keep making happen on the map. They're pushing in down bottom. They just got this quick tower kill through mid. Slowly but surely, they want to try shrinking this map. And we're going to see this Leshrac also heading into the Radiant Triangle. So that's a space that RTZ can't really occupy right now. He has to play down bottom. Nowhere else feels super good for him. Nice plays happening by Team Liquid. They're about to get Black Hole again in the next 15 seconds, so they could decide to make a big move on the map once it's back off cooldown.
Yeah, they can start to put the squeeze on EG because they're definitely not ready to fight, right? Like, they still need Arteezy to start moving towards his first set of items. He wants that Mal show up. He wants the BKB. Arbed now has his boots of travel, getting closer and closer to his own BKB, so he's getting close to being able to fight. But with Helm of the Overlord just on the periphery here, we're looking to see how EG weather the storm from here on out. They need to try and hold on towards these Tier 2 towers. They need to try and hold on to this game before it starts to blow out. And this is why I like this. I did like this Team Liquid draft, even though I did pick EG here. I think a little of the bias was showing, but they have just good heroes at being able to abuse the fact that EG want to play this game slow, right? Like, they've got a Leshrac and they have a Lone Druid here. Both heroes that are more than happy to sit back and farm. And as long as they're getting kills with those black holes as they make the rotation and don't get turned on by the Chronosphere, Liquid are in a pretty good spot. So it's going to be about this mid game. It's going to be about who is happy to get these fights going at different times, right? There's going to be certain timings you want to hit. You want to hit this Desolator timing on the Lone Druid. You want to start hitting that BKB timing. And even this Blink Bloodstone timing for Leshrac as well. Oh, Arteezy.
Oh, Arteezy got frostbitten down bottom. This is tragic. They did this. He was actually trying to escape because they had Moonlight Shadow triggered, sensing that a gank was coming his way, and they just quickly get the kill anyway. Oh my god. Well, that's also about to give the gold for Blink Dagger over towards Boxy. You were talking about them exploiting how this EG draft is going to play slowly. Even look at top lane, where Nightfall's supposed to be pressuring. He can't actually put pressure on this lane. There's so many heroes on the side of Team Liquid that can keep clearing out these waves. You have this Leshrac, you have the Enigma that can just go park there, you have the Tiny, who's usually been occupying that space, or even the Lone Druid if necessary. Either way, this Tier 2 tower is still 100% healthy in this top lane. And Nightfall, unfortunately, he can't even join the rest of his team just yet to try and be involved in some of these fights. It's a really unfortunate stage of the game right now for the side of EG, but they're going to try and maybe make a play, because Crit, Fly, as well as this Nightfall Lycan are together, but what really sucks is that without the Faceless Void, without the Lena, doesn't actually feel like these heroes can make any plays. Erstwhile, Team Liquid, they smoke up as 4. They want to reveal this Blink Dagger of Boxy. Hasn't found a target just yet. Going to the low ground. Might go north. If he finds Nightfall here and tosses him back, this would be so painful. I think Nightfall recognizes that he's in some degree of danger. Backs off. He's going to be fine. Fly, maybe not so much. Fly actually TP's out like a boss. Baits out the Avalanche after he's already gone. And Crit able to escape on the eastern side as well. So Team Liquid, a lot of their time has been wasted in the top part of the map. And yes, they wanted to make a play, but them not making a play turns out to actually be really good. Arbed and Arteezy get all the space on the map as a result.
Yeah, they just kind of walked past a few of these EG members. They weren't able to see Crit, they weren't able to see Nightfall, and they weren't able to get that final catch on the Fly as well. So a little bit more time here for EG. Liquid are in a really good position right now. It's going to be very, very hard for EG to try and get a stranglehold back on this game. They have the BKB up here now for Arbed. They also have the Helm of the Overlord on Nightfall, so they at least have something. They've still got this team fight to always fall back on as well. You can never count out a Faceless Void Chronosphere. You can never count out Alina in these fights. So
You can't even count out a random arrow connecting onto you for a full 5 seconds stun. Good day for something now. They've smoked up. Haven't been able to find an angle of approach just yet. Unfortunately, their relative lack of map control makes it much more difficult to make these jumps. In mid lane, Boxy jumps onto Arteezy. He gets feared, he gets right-clicked down, and the Faceless Void is gone. Freezing Field coming in from Insania. Abed though goes BKB with the LSA to cancel it, but here comes Mickey. Bloodstone is a-going, the damage is a-coming, and they're gonna lose 2 because of it. A double kill for this Leshrac. They might not be done just yet. Boxy does come across Nightfall, but not able to get a correct beat onto him. However, with these 3 heroes being dead, and especially with Arteezy having fallen to the wayside, this opens up the path for the Roshan pit. Are going to be getting an Aegis into the hands of, I imagine, this Leshrac, but Matsu could take it as well.
Yeah, just Team Liquid is playing really clean. They understand that as long as they catch the Faceless Void, they have to force him to try and get a time walk off and then try and get a Chronosphere. That it is also hard for EG to be able to get these team fights going. Liquid are starting to take a pretty big stranglehold of this game. Mickey has been an absolute blinder of a game once again. 12,000 net worth at 19 minutes into the game. Martu was one that picks up the Aegis of the Immortal. Liquid, they've got everything in front of them. All they need to do is start taking down a few more of these towers. They can start pressuring the tier 2s. EG are definitely not ready to fight. Arteezy is not in a position right now that he wants to try and fight. He needs to have that BKB so he can try and survive some of this burst that comes out. Same thing with the rest of some of these other heroes. You know, Nightfall we saw in that previous fight. Yeah, you click the Lycan ulti and you run towards the Crystal Maiden. But as soon as she hits the freezing field, she's got so much armor and she does so much damage to you that it is also hard to try and come out. Oh, once again, Boxy's been found. Found Arteezy as well.
Gets caught out. There's a Chrono though coming in from Arteezy. He kills Crystal Maiden first. Boxy's inside of this bubble as well. And between Abed and Arteezy, they are able to get that kill. The reinforcements from Team Liquid not able to respond in time because they are busy sieging a tier 2 in the top lane here. So this is going to be a small degree of exploitation from EG, allowing themselves to get up onto the map. It does come at a cost though. Tier 2 tower in exchange for 2 supports and a tier 1. I mean, you're happy as EG you're getting something, but you also know that you're starting to lose more and more map control the more these fights go this way.
And that's the scary thing, right, is that the map's starting to get smaller, this map's starting to get darker as well. Zai has the BKB, he's going to walk in. Oh my god.
Abed! The usage of the LSA with the BKB actually cancels Zai's Black Hole. He doesn't have a BKB of his own. This is a great time for EG to try and re-engage. They know they don't have to worry about a bubble, and they also know that there's at least 2 of the core heroes down bottom. Mickey realizes this as well and blinks to safety underneath the tier 2 tower. But where's the catch gonna happen? Oh no! Mid lane crit. Walked underneath the sentry ward. So the Moonlight Shadow does not provide him with protection as Zai ends his life. Still, EG down bottom. They still want to try and force a fight somewhere. They're going onto Arteezy. Arteezy! He was baiting so they could turn with the Chrono, but he gets blown up. He's not survivable enough to survive the burst coming in from Boxy and the Leshrac. And while this is happening, look middle. This push has been on from Matu and Zai. Dude, what am I seeing, Fluke? They're able to win fights on bottom, take towers on top and middle at the same time without even needing the full lineup. And they baited out the death of Arteezy. Tier 3 tower is now going to fall. Very quick jump. Mickey going into the base already, looking for the kill onto Fly. But Fly will be able to stay alive. Abed finds the LSA onto Mickey. Still not enough damage to reliably threaten the Leshrac just yet. They know Arteezy's coming back, but they also know he doesn't have a bubble as Crit gets thrown back by Boxy. Boxy's on a mega kill streak. This Tiny has been on one today. Just Boxy in general has been on one. Rax almost
Team Liquid on one, I think.
Yep. Well, the way things are looking, Fluke, I think they're going to be on 2 today.
You know, the 2-0 here against CG would be big for them, and this is what we always talk about when we talk about this Team Liquid squad. You have to be so careful about how you draft against them, and this is why I talked about this game 2 being oh so important for these teams to really kind of figure out who's winning the mental kind of warfare, who's winning the band chicken, who has the better kind of ideas about way these drafts do work out. I really like this Team Liquid draft, where they just open up with the Lone Druid. And I think this might start leading teams a little bit more towards first pick. Just being able to protect a carry like Lone Druid just opens you up to so much more in these fights. You go in, you pick this Lone Druid, you've already realized that it's going to be an Enchantress plus a Faceless Void. You feel good about how it's going, and Team Liquid, they play so well around the Lone Druid. They play so well around hitting these perfect timings and kind of trying to close the game out. And they're doing such a good job right now, and everybody on Team Liquid is playing fantastic.
Look at this wrap though from EG. Want to try and break this up. They've smoked up all the way behind. They really want to find the Enigma or any other bigger target first. RTZ still has access to the
fly.
bubble. Who's he going to commit it on? He hasn't used it just yet. They've already blown up the Enchantress, and now
Oh, no.
the Chrono comes out.
No
but there's
damage.
a freezing field. RTZ can't put in the damage. They eventually do end up creating Crystal Maiden. Now Matu trying to get himself out of dodge here. He's in danger, losing his life slowly but surely. Does still have an Aegis though. The fear preventing RTZ from getting the final kill. As Boxy somehow still alive, will eventually end up going down. But RTZ getting turned around upon by Mickey and Matu. And they're able to get the kill. They don't even burn the first life of the lone druid. Abed ended up dying as well. Fear throws back flies so he cannot escape either. As the only person able to run deep away is going to be Nightfall. Crit is forced to hide inside the trees. And
They call
EG
it.
has seen enough. They do not feel they have what it takes to keep this game going, so they throw in the towel, they call GG, they ensure that Team Liquid are not just on one, they are on two, as they secure a victory, the first series victory over the side of Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, first team to be able to give Evil Geniuses a loss here in the TI group stages. First team to be able to get the 2-0 over the top of them as well. Liquid played amazing throughout this entirety of this series. I think they are really much like Team Asa that we saw earlier this morning. They are starting to come in with their own unique ideas about how they want to be playing Dota. And I think this is the reason why Echo What's Their Action Slack said today. I think this patch has been one of the best that we've ever had. It is so open for so many of these different heroes to be able to be strong. Yes, Morphlings, Undyings, Marcies, all those kind of heroes are very, very strong. But what we are seeing here from Team Liquid, Team Asa, they have their own identities, right? And Team Liquid, they come into this game number 2, they play the game number 1 conventionally with the Shadow Fiend and the Pudge as their carry. Now they come into game number 2 and they say, hey, do you guys remember that we play Lone Druid? Yeah, we play Lone Druid, by the way, and we're going to win this game in 23 minutes after, you know, a 64-minute banger. So Liquid, they're in a really, really good spot right now in their group status, being 6-2. They're on the same score as what they are with EG. But now they're just putting a lot of these extra bits of sprinkled spice throughout the entirety of their drafts, and it just gives you more to think about every time you're going to be playing up against Team Liquid for the rest of this group stage.
Absolutely. The more and more that you have to like consider the different styles and formats that they can draft against you. So many comfort picks as well. We're starting to see that whenever the game is allowed to be played very quickly, Team Liquid will exploit you. This fight, I think once this fight happened, you get honestly one of the best chronos you could possibly find, right? Mickey stopped in, you should be able to find that kill, but I think RTZ just realized I actually can't play this game without BKB. And that's the issue with the Faceless Void, right? He needs so many items before he starts to feel like a relevant force on the map. And when Team Liquid is able to draft these kind of lineups that just end the game effectively within 25 minutes, you never have a chance to really come online. We saw this also as sort of like the counter to the first pick Morphlings that we were seeing a lot in the last chance qualifiers and in the first day of the group stages. Teams just realized you play way faster than this Morphling, play way faster than the Faceless Void. You don't need an 80-minute game to win, just win in 25 and then it's done and dusted, right? So incredible performance coming in right here from the side of Team Liquid with this 2-0. Also, something else here, Fluke. Whenever you get a win this dominantly over a team that was dominant, it inspires other squads as well, right? Because they can look at your drafts and say, all right, what is it that you are doing? What movements were you making around the map? What does your vision look like? How do you actually control EG?